call from Uncle B. Alright, let's see what I got from Uncle Barney today. That's exciting. Alright, so I want to clean it off real quick. And I got these alcohol prep pads. You really want to avoid putting water in your camera. I've mentioned on my videos before. It causes fungus and mold and all that. But alcohol dries up really quickly. Just disinfect it, get all the dust off, see? Right away. Okay, so I need to clean out the battery lid. Had a lot of corrosion, a lot of green battery corrosion. So I'm using hot water and baking soda mixed together. And just take some of that with a Q-tip. Now let me take one of these long Q-tips and just kind of clean out the inside here. It doesn't look bad in here. All the damage, all the corrosion was on the cap. Thanks again, Uncle Barney. Shout out to Uncle B. This is the Yashica Electro 35GS. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this camera and then show you some pictures I've taken with it. This is a rangefinder camera made by Yashica in the 1970s. The GS model was made in the 1970s, and they were the first electronically controlled cameras. What does that mean? Well, the shutter is controlled electronically by an electromagnet. It was powered by the no longer available mercury battery, but now you can get an adapter, which I've purchased from a company on eBay called Friendster Vintage. There is a few adapters out there, but I chose this company because they make batteries for classic Yashica rangefinders, and they show a particular dedication to keeping film alive. So check them out. I'll leave a link to their store in the description. The adapter makes it so you can use a readily available battery. I'm using a 4LR44 6-volt battery, which you can get on Amazon, but this one came with the battery adapter, which was great. So once you have the battery and its adapter installed into the camera correctly, you put the back on. You'll next want to press the battery check button. And this will tell you if your camera is even operable or if the battery is dead. And you see here, the light turns on and it shows that the battery is working and so is the camera. The shutter speeds on this model, which is the GS, are 25 to 1/1000th of a second. And prior models, the first being the Electro 35, only had speeds of 12 to 1/400th of a second. Then came in 1968 the 35G, which extended the speed up to 1/500th. And then came the GS, which is my model, and that was in 1970. That maxed the speeds out to 1/1000th. And then the final model in 1973 was the GSN and the GTN, which added a hot shoe. They are aperture priority, and the correct exposure is determined by turning the aperture ring on the lens in the direction indicated either by the lamps on top or the red and yellow lights in the viewfinder. If the yellow light appears, there's not enough light, and you need to turn the aperture ring to the left until it goes away. If the light doesn't go away, then you'll need to use a tripod. If the red light comes on, there's too much light, and you need to turn the ring to the right until it doesn't appear anymore. There is 3 settings on the lens as well: auto, flash, and bulb mode, depending on your situation. The fixed lens is a Yashica DX f 1.7 45mm, and on the side of the body is the PC socket for a flash, and PC does not mean you can hook your personal computer into it. That actually stands for Prontor Computer. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's the German shutter maker who created the PC socket. And the meter is a TTL meter, meaning it is through the lens And that means that the meter tells the lighting through the lens, so that when you use a filter you don't have to compensate your exposure settings because it sees the difference in the lighting itself on its own. There's also a self timer on the lens that lasts about 8 seconds that you can turn on by pushing down the lever and then pressing your shutter button, and it goes off and takes the picture for you after 8 seconds. And then finally, when storing the camera, it's good to turn on the lock to release the shutter and also keep the lens cap on and your case, if you have one, so that you don't drain the battery. Okay, enough of that. Now I'm going to show you how to load and unload some film with it and then show you the pictures I took with it. I'm going to load some Fuji Color 200 into it. Now to open the back, you just simply pull this lever, which releases the back. And then you put your film in and pull the leader of the film over into the take-up spool. And then see, it catches hold of it when you wind it. You don't want to forget to set the ISO speed. And for this film it is ISO 200. That's the box speed. So you want to make sure you set that. I always tend to forget that. Finally, to check that you've loaded it correctly, you want to make sure that the film has taken up on the take-up spool correctly by watching the winding lever. There it goes, it turned, and that shows you that you loaded the film correctly. Now I'm going to show you how to unload the film. Take out the film winder while I hold the button on the bottom, and I wind it in the direction of the arrow. And I can hear the film being wound. Don't want to go too fast because it can cause friction. You can feel the resistance, and there's that click. That means it let go of the take-up spool. Just a little bit more, and that's it. So now on the bottom here is this little lever. Pull it out, and it opens the back. And there's my film. So there we go. Now I'm going to send my film off to be developed. So here's some pictures I took and my thoughts on the camera. I used the Fuji Color 200 for the color pictures, and for the black and white pictures I used Ilford Delta 400. And I actually enjoyed the black and white pictures I got better than the color. One issue I had with the camera was I kept forgetting the minimum distance I had to be from a subject from the lens, and sometimes things would come out of focus, like these leaves. But I really enjoyed taking pictures around my neighborhood with the 45mm lens. I was able to get some nice shots, especially with the Ilford Delta black and white. Just really gave it a nice dramatic flair. Overall, I really enjoy using this camera. I love the feel of it in my hands, and I do like some of the shots I got, so I do think I will be trying it again in the future, and I hope you guys will try it out too. I hope you've enjoyed the pictures, and I'd love it if you hit subscribe and a thumbs up for this video. I have many videos to come because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of cameras I'd want to review. So please come back for more, share it with your friends, and visit my social media accounts that are linked below, as well as my blog. And as usual, stay motivated and keep shooting.